TFA fam, what is up? What is happening? It is finally here. We have finally reached the climax, if you will, of the Christmas season. It is Christmas time. Christmas is only a few short days away. I hope everybody's gotten their Christmas shopping out of the way. We get a full weekend of football on Saturday. We got a full slate of games on Sunday. We got a 3-game slate on Sunday. A little reverse action this week.
Yeah.
We got a Thursday night game. We got then we got the Monday night game. So there's a full weekend of football. We are a week away from the fantasy championships. I hope everybody made it through okay and was able to make it into week 16. We got a lot of interesting things going on this week with some weather concerns with some of these games. Super cold weather. I can say personally here in Kansas City when the Chiefs take on the Seahawks, it is going to be blistering cold. It's supposed to be like a high of 5 with a negative 20-degree wind chill here during that game. So that is going to be fun, I'm sure, for the people. All over my timeline of people trying to sell their Chiefs tickets for this weekend because nobody wants to go because it's going to be miserable out there. And it's Christmas Eve, so there's a few other games. I think I know the Bears and the Bills game. It looks like to be very similar type of weather there as well, but colder. So should be interesting for this weekend. So hope everybody, people that have Jalen Hurts, I feel sorry for you. I mean, it's just brutal to make it all so because it's something we've kind of talked about a little bit, but something I want to really dig in more this offseason of how much of a cheat code the quarterback position has been this year. Like if you've had like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, you've pretty much had kind of a cheat code every week over your opponent. And because those guys are consistently giving you 20 to 30 fantasy points every week, where we just can't say the same. Like the quarterback position has been pretty rough this year. There's been a lot of ups and downs for a lot of these guys, like Justin Herbert, who had a lot of high expectations, was not very good this year. Joe Burrow, I think, has had a lot of stints, but he's had his own rough patches as well. Tom Brady hasn't been very good, and it's just a lot of Lamar Jackson hasn't been good. So really, if you drafted one of those guys, like you were in a really good spot. Probably one of the biggest reasons you got to the fantasy playoffs. The running back felt like it was kind of a dead position this year. A lot of really bad play. Really, a lot of the guys that were drafted late are the guys that came through this year. And so it's just kind of been doing some reflecting of this season, things we've gotten right, things we've gotten wrong. But it's been kind of a crazy year. But now Jalen Hurts out, like that's a big blow for people that have him, right? And Gardner Minshew. I mean, maybe we'll get some questions about him. But I like Gardner Minshew, and we've seen him last year come in a spot start last year, and he played really well. But he's not Jalen Hurts. He's not going to give you. He doesn't have that floor, right? Like he has a very low floor. He has a decent ceiling with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and looks like Dallas Goedert should be back this week. So, but that's a big blow to people that had him. Like just a pain, right? And then Jonathan Taylor went on IR, which he's been a big bust this year. So I don't know. It's been a really weird year for fantasy football. But let's get into some of these questions here for people. Walito already in the chat. Appreciate you. Hit us with a Merry Christmas, TFA fam. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend this weekend and enjoys it. And yeah, I hope you have a nice little W under the tree for this weekend that you can unwrap and carry on to the next week.
Happy Hanukkah as well.
Yeah, people that celebrate that don't celebrate Christmas. Whatever you celebrate this weekend, hope it goes well for you. Josh, first one in here. Merry Christmas, fellas. Merry Christmas, Josh. Need two standard. Garrett Wilson, Rashad White, Zach Moss, Cam Akers. Also have Hunt and Warren, who I would plug in if starters are indeed down.
I wouldn't worry about Warren. I think Najee's going to be fine. It seemed like it was more a maintenance day off for him, so I don't think you're going to have to worry about Warren. Chubb, we're not sure of. Man, this is hard.
It should be mentioned with Chubb as well. He did say today that he expects to play this weekend, so very well could just be more maintenance for him as well.
Okay, I do not see that one. The obvious one, the one that should be obvious, is Garrett Wilson. But Kev, you were talking about some of the weather concerns. We're starting off Thursday with one of those weather games. Looking again, what we use for all of this is if you just Google Roto Grinders NFL weather, this will come up for you. They have a meteorologist who goes through and kind of ranks all these games with different colors that kind of give you an idea of like which games to avoid. He has this one as an orange, which is a step above yellow and one below red, which we do have one red game this week. I don't know if I've ever seen that on the Roto Grinders, so that's interesting. But it says cold and wet in East Rutherford for Thursday Night Football. Temps in the 40s, steady rain, a 10 to 15 mile per hour wind, just ugly weather. I expect this will have an impact on the passing game. And then add in that this is a standard league and not a PPR. Man, I think White is the one I'm going to lock in. Ah, man. This one's. Akers has been playing actually well over the past couple of weeks, but not a fantastic matchup for him going up against Denver. Mm-mm-mm. It's not Zach Moss, is it?
I don't think I can play Zach Moss. I mean, I just can't predict that they're going to be in like a really positive game script here for this game. And so if he's not against the Chargers, I'd not play him. I know it's standard league, so I mean Cam Akers is in a okay matchup against Denver. Like Denver's run defense is something you can definitely take advantage of.
But
Yeah, I think I would go Cam Akers here. I think, as much as it pains me to say, I don't know if I really want to play. I mean, I think maybe I would still go Garrett Wilson because it's not the rain isn't really as big of a concern as the wind would be. So
to me, the biggest concern is Zach Wilson in the elements. To be honest,
that is true. Yeah, that ever trusting Zach Wilson for anything.
I'm gonna go White and Akers.
I don't mind that either. It's not a bad option, and especially at a standard. Going against what Arizona, the Bucks
Mm-hmm.
are. So
And then with Arizona having Trace McSorley on the other side, this should be a game where Tampa is actually able to control it. And with Fournette kind of being banged up this year, maybe Rachaad White is the one who gets the majority of the carries down the stretch.
yeah, I don't hate that either. Andrea, hi everyone. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Happy holidays. I know you had the bye last week. We are on to week 16. Ken. All right, guys. It's the nitty gritty. I need you. Michael Carter, Damian Harris, Marlon Mack, Khalil Herbert. Pick one.
Mm-mm-mm. Oh boy. It's not Marlon Mack. Chase Edmonds was activated today, coming off of IR. So, I mean, I'm not expecting him to have a huge role, but I think he could see some touches, which obviously, diminish what Marlon Mack would potentially get.
And Zonovan Knight, who was kind of questionable for this week, got into full practice today. So he'll be good to go for Thursday as well. I think it's Damian Harris if he plays. I think that's who I would lean towards.
That's where I was leaning as well. If he doesn't play, oh man, that's so tough. Because I want to say Michael Carter, just because of how this game is expected to go. I can't imagine Robert Saleh is too enthused about Zach Wilson in these elements, like we were just touching on. So, but with Damian Harris, obviously you're not going to know that in time. think I would just go Michael Carter.
I just hate playing players on Thursday night. I just hate it.
I don't love it either. You know, especially this this team and this offense. But if you wait and Damian Harris doesn't go, you know, since he has been an okay defense, especially whenever they have their starters on the defensive line healthy. You know, Hendrickson is still questionable and up in the air. I think he got in maybe like a limited practice today, I want to say, because then you're looking at, you know, Marlon Mack and Khalil Herbert. So I think I would just go with Michael Carter. Still been playing around 50% of the snaps. I think he gets some touches. I'm going to go Carter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just wait and see what happens tomorrow with Harris, and if he doesn't sound like he's trending towards playing, then yeah, it might be smarter just to bite the bullet and go ahead and take Michael Carter.
I mean, Jags giving up the 11th most half PPR points per game to the position, 14th in run DVOA, so kind of middle of the road there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it makes sense. Noel, Latavius Murray, Pacheco, or Ayuk in the flex full PPR.
Going Pacheco.
Yeah. I think to me, it comes down to what kind of game script you kind of project for this Washington game. Like, because if they don't have to throw the ball, we know that they're not going to. They're not going to put Brock Purdy in that position to have to throw the ball a ton. Pacheco just worries me because he's become kind of one dimensional. If he doesn't score a touchdown, like it's not like he doesn't kill you, but he also doesn't give you a ton either, right? Like he's not involved in the passing game. He's averaging about 16 carries per game right now since Clyde Edwards-Helaire has went down. And so he's been a little bit harder to trust. We've seen Jerick McKinnon. Now, people are going to overreact some to what Jerick McKinnon has done the last 2 weeks with his monster performances of 30-plus fantasy points each of those 2 weeks. And I still think Pacheco is a solid back-end RB2. But I also think Brandon Ayuk, especially without, if, Debo, then he still makes for a pretty decent play. It's just really kind of comes down to game script and how much they're going to have to throw because he hasn't been seeing that many targets with Brock Purdy, 3 and 4 the last couple of weeks for him. So if he doesn't score, he also becomes a little bit more because the volume's not there for them. And I don't know if Washington's really good enough to really push them in pace to be able to make this. So I think it's between those two, and I guess I would probably lean towards just a little bit more towards Pacheco because it is a very, very good matchup. So he's somebody that I talked about on the video that I did. Seattle is 28th in rush DVOA on the year. They've been really bad against opposing running backs. It's just been the problem is we continue to try to say that it should be a great game script for Pacheco, and it just doesn't turn out to be that way because the Chiefs pretty much play down to whoever they play. And they allow every team in it. Last week Houston was the same thing. They damn near lost that game, and so it just made Jerick McKinnon so much more valuable. So yeah, let's go with Pacheco here.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned 28th in run DVOA. They've also given up the 4th most rushing yards to running backs, and they're tied for the 2nd most touchdowns given up to running backs just on the ground in general. So I think that sets up well. And the one thing that worries me a little bit about IU, because I do kind of like him, especially with the strength of that Washington defense being obviously in their run game. The thing that worries me is just how slow both of these teams play. Like I kind of had a hunch that they were lower, but I just pulled up the pace stats and situation neutral. Washington is 30th and pace of play, and San Fran is 27th. So even if like they're like quote unquote like forced to throw, because they can't get much going on the run game, like I still don't think it's going to end up being a ton of volume just because of how few plays or how slow both of these teams play. Ashton and Dynasty missed the playoffs, and I have 4 first. Very nice. Just traded Zach Wilson, Jawan Johnson for a 24 second and 23 fourth. I think it's a very good sell. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Zach Wilson's it. I never understood the hype with him coming in, to be honest. I don't think he's it. I don't think he's ever going to amount to much of a dynasty asset. So I'm completely fine with that. Love stacking up the first too. Charlie Lights, Minshew, Russ, or pickup Carr. You mentioned you like Minshew. Do you like him over these names?
Yeah, I think that's actually who I would go with here at quarterback. It's just he has really good weapons here in this offense, right? And like I said, we saw him last year play really well. I know it was just one game sample size, but he's performed well when he's in Jacksonville. I mean, he's not a guy you want for all year, but I think that just for this 1 week against Dallas, like that game is their pace is probably going to be high. They're going to have to throw the ball. With having all of this complement of weapons, I think he's in a really good spot. And so between everybody else, like I can't trust Derek Carr. You never know what you're going to get with that guy. And it's, it is on the road against Pittsburgh as well. And then with Russell Wilson, I'm not doing that either, especially against the Rams. So I think it's Gardner. Yeah, I think it's Gardner Minshew. I think he's in a pretty good spot this week. So I do like Gardner Minshew.
God, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that we would want to be playing Minshew over Russell Wilson, I'd have been like, oh, okay, like everybody on the Broncos died. Is that what happened? Nope. It's just been ass. Andre does have a question. Need 1 wide receiver here. Smitty, DJ Moore, and then 1 flex out of Rachaad White, Zonovan Knight, and McKinnon in a PPR. I'm going to make you proud here, Kev. I'm going DJ Moore.
That is exactly what I was thinking too. I do like him here this week. It's a good matchup for them against Detroit. We know really you throw against Detroit, and Detroit just allows everybody to throw against them. I mean, how, for reference, they made Zach Wilson look really good or at least in stretches, spurts, looked really good last week. So yeah, I think DJ Moore is definitely the play. You want to throw the ball against them, not pass. So it's always risky trusting Sam Darnold, but here we are. I think it's DJ Moore over Devonta Smith because I do think it hurts Devonta a little bit with Dallas Goedert returning. Just kind of limits the ball gets moved around a little bit more, and so it's not as consolidated as it was. And so I think it's DJ Moore, and then for the flex, I'm gonna go Jerick McKinnon.
Me too. Starting McKinnon in a dynasty league over Mixon.
It's tough, right? Because if you just remove the name from it, Joe Mixon has been he hasn't been good since he's been back from this injury, and his snaps have been down. He's only playing around roughly 60% of the snaps, averaging about 12 carries per game and 3 receptions per game. But the crazy thing is like he's out that week 9 game where he just went nuclear. He hasn't scored a touchdown 8 of the 12 weeks he's played this year. And so his receiving work is what's kind of kept him afloat. But this is a truly terrible matchup for him against the Patriots. The Patriots have been elite against the run this year. They've only allowed 3 rushing touchdowns on the year to opposing running backs. So it's just not a good matchup for Joe Mixon. And so the way I look at this week, once now we're here in the playoffs, is like there's just no time to be scared, I guess. Because there's no next week, right? You can't just you can't say, oh well, we'll see what happens here, right? And so especially to me, I always look at like the playoffs like kind of like in DFS terms, right? Like a GPP. Like you should be trying to build, especially looking at your opponent, right? Like seeing what your opponent has, and if you think that you're projected to lose, like it's not looking good for you, like your team you're playing, especially if you're playing like the team coming off bye or something like that. I would just get crazy with it. Like I'm playing best matchups. Like I don't care, right? Because it doesn't
Yeah.
matter at this point. Like if you lose, obviously you're out. I know that's not rocket science, but a lot of people get nervous and like, oh, I can't sit this guy because of X, Y, and Z. But I'm just gonna play the guys in the best matchups if I can help
That's what I'm doing.
it. Yeah.
YOLO. Need 4 here for Ken. Half PPR, Mike Will, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, Godwin, Dotson, Njoku, DJ Moore, and Jacoby.
Okay, so AJ Brown, Godwin are locks. And then I'm gonna go Keenan.
Okay. I'm with you.
And then it comes down to Mike Williams and DJ Moore.
I have both Keenan and Mike Will ranked ahead of DJ Moore. If you don't like doubling up on the Chargers, Ken, I don't mind going DJ Moore over Mike Williams, but that's how I have it ranked. I think I have Keenan inside my top 10, and I think Mike Williams is right outside, or he might even be at like 12. He's somewhere like in the like 12 to 14 range, I want to say.
So I have DJ Moore ahead of Mike Williams. I have him one spot ahead.
Okay.
I have DJ Moore at 16 and Mike Williams at 17. So
Yeah, I don't mind DJ Moore if we don't want to double down on Chargers.
no, because this
Gilmore
game
has been
doesn't.
playing well too.
Yeah, and this doesn't feel like the game that I really want to double stack two Chargers wide receivers against the Colts, mainly because I don't know what to expect this Colt offense. I mean, I guess they are set. It is they have made the switch to Nick Foles, for this game. Like this is clearly, I mean, obviously, he's just trying to do whatever he can Saturday, just whatever he can to just maybe get a win or something and turn this thing around. So maybe they end up looking at him next year. I don't know. Because their season's clearly, it's obviously over. And at this point, you just want to lose so you can get a good, the highest draft pick.
Yeah. Do they have their first this year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Crab gravy. Merry Christmas to you. Brutal, Ashton. Then his brother losing out by 0.92. That's golly. That's rough. BJ, what's up, guys? Should I bench Pittman for Knight at the flex full PPR?
No.
Yeah, I would go Pittman.
Yeah.
And Goddard or Patty Fry, I'm going Goddard for show.
Yes, I'll go Goddard.
And then we need 2 out of ETN Rashad and Ken Waka.
ETN and Kenneth Walker.
That's where I'm going as well. Kenneth Lee, tough situation with the weather. Need 1 running back, 1 flex, and a half PPR. ETN, Knight, Monty, D-Rob, and Hardman.
So ETN. And I guess, man. And I guess I go Monty.
I'm going to go Zonovan. I just feel like with that matchup, the Bills are just going to absolutely just stack the box, right? And they've been a good run defense all year. I think they're giving up. I just wrote this up for a betting article. I think it's like the 4th or the 6th fewest rushing yards per game, and they're 3rd in run DVOA. Then you add in, we have some weather concerns with this game as well. Not necessarily, yeah. So sustained winds around 20 to 25, gusts to 35. Tough temps around 10 degrees feels like temp at -10. So again, like you're not worried about Justin Fields throwing to begin with. Then you add in those wins. I just think they absolutely just stacked the box, and I don't think there's going to be any room for them to run. So I'm going to go Zonovan over Monty. TN. Or is this at least minor COVID symptoms? Like I hope this is going like as well for you as possible. We've dealt with it twice in the Kutzer household. The second time was worse.
Yeah, I had it back in, I don't remember when it was, February, March. The worst part was like losing the actual like sense of like taste and smell. Like that was the worst part to me, and it lasted for a while. So
the first time I had it, that lasted almost 2 months for me.
Yeah, it was it was like a month. It sucked. It was terrible. I hated it. So TN, hopefully you, especially around this time of the year, obviously, this is the worst time to get sick with everything going on. So hope you are doing well, my friend, and we appreciate you as always. Hope you get better. Don't worry about not being around. We appreciate you, and hopefully you get better. Little Christmas miracle coming COVID free by the end of the week. So
appreciate you, man. Get well. Get better soon. Need 2 here for Andrea Mixon, J.K. White.
This one I am going to play Mixon on this one. I don't think you. I can't go Rachaad White over Mixon. I don't think.
Yeah, I'll sit Rachaad White here
because I'm playing J.K. Dobbins too. I think J.K. Dobbins in a really good spot. He is a little bit harder to trust because he's not seeing like a full complement of snaps or anything, but he's still playing 40% of the snaps, 41% of the snaps, 14 carries last week, 124 total yards since coming back, 15.9 fantasy points per game. Atlanta has 26 on rush DVOA, allowed 11th most rushing yards, 15 most touchdowns, and I do think he's in a really good spot here for J.K. Dobbins. So I do like that.
I just started laughing because the J.K. Dobbins reminded me of a tweet that I meant to send out this past week, but like got sidetracked and forgot about it. I feel like every time that J.K. Dobbins runs, it reminds me of the catcher from Major League when he's going to first base at the very end. I was just like, dude, he looks like he's struggling. Like it's like if he gets past like 10 yards, like if he has to run more than 10 yards, like it just doesn't look right. But he keeps producing.
No, he has, yeah. Like I said, he's in the 2 games since come back, averages 124 total yards. So
JT, Lawrence, Jones, or Minshew at QB2?
I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence. I know the weather is a little concerning, but again, I'm more concerned with wind.
I just don't like this matchup.
As long as it's not wind based, I'm okay. Yeah, but man, Trevor Lawrence has been real. Like he played really well again last week, which was a tougher matchup last week for him. Against one of the better pass defenses in the league, and he played. He came out through 4 touchdowns. And so I don't know. It's just tough to sit him. Like if I was going to go with somebody else, I'd probably go with Minshew, honestly. Just because with Daniel Jones, like Daniel Jones has a really good matchup against Minnesota because Minnesota's pass defense is dreadful, but I just don't know how much they really throw the ball. And so he's more of a safer like floor play, I think. But if I had to choose, I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence, who's been a top 10 quarterback this year.
I'm going to go Minshew. I said it's the whole smorgasbord with Lawrence. Like the weather isn't super concerning because you're right. Like the rain isn't the biggest deal. The winds aren't. The wind is the thing we generally need to pay attention to most. It's only like 10 to 15 miles per hour, so that's not the worst thing. But it's the matchup. Like I think the Jets secondary is potentially better than Dallas is. Like, I think this could be a tougher matchup. So I'm going to go Minshew.
Yeah, let's where are we at here? How far? Oh, we're not too terribly bad. About 20 minutes. All right. See how far behind we were.
Ken, one in a PPR, KW3, Juju, Connor, Zonovan, Pickens.
Ken Walker for me. I think he's a top 12 running back this week. So
Yeah, Walker for me as well. Yanga, rocking with us. Mahomes, Purdy, Chase, Donovan, Davis, Zay Jones, Dobbit, White, Fournette, Wilson, Tennessee, or Kansas City. Full PPR, one quarterback, two wide receivers, two running backs, one flex. So obviously we're going Patty at QB. Then we need two wide receivers. So I will go Chase and Smitty.
I would go Chase and Zay Jones.
Okay.
It's like Zay Jones has really been producing. Like, and his numbers have become identical in terms of like his usage numbers have become identical to Christian Kirk, and he's just seeing so many targets now, and he's being heavily involved in the offense. It makes it tough to sit. It makes it tough to like. I think I would go Zay Jones.
Okay. And then two running backs out of Dobbins, White, Fournette, and Dion. I like Dobbins and Fournette there.
Yeah, I agree.
Then we need a flex. We also have Jeff Wilson in the mix, too. So those running backs, Jeff Wilson, or one of these receivers.
I think I would plug in Devonta Smith in the flex with that.
And I'll go Zay Jones in the flex. Tennessee or Kansas City?
I guess I would go Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee for me as well. Good luck to you, YM. Last fish, still holding on, baby. Let's go. Down to 7 people. Looking at Philly, Tennessee, Cleveland, Steelers, Lions, Bills, Bucks, Chargers. Thanks and happy holidays. Happy holidays to you too. Last fish in the pond. Always holding it down for us on Twitch.
I think I would go Bucks here. Like, I think there's multiple options. I think the Bills are definitely in play as an option here, and I also think the Chargers as well. As like, I think to me it comes down to the Bills, Bucks, and Chargers. I think are the three teams.
I want to use the, yeah, I'm with you. I want to use the Bucks,
and I think the Bucks, just because I mean Trace McSorley, if it would feel like truly rock bottom if the Bucks lost to the Trace McSorley led Arizona Cardinals, and so yeah. So I think it'd be the Bucks because I would like to save the Bills. I'd like to save the Chargers if I could, especially if going to and we're not playing Philly. They're no lock whatsoever against the Cowboys. Like that, I would stay away from that. Like there's no even reason to think to consider them. And so yeah, I think it comes down to those three, and I would rather use the Bucks now and save the other two versus going with more of a. Because I don't know. If they lose this game, I don't know what to say. Like, I just can't imagine this happens.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's roll with the Bucks. Glock guy. Williams, D-Hop, or Higgy?
I'm gonna go with T Higgins.
Go Higgins as well. And then Stevenson, Ken Waka, or Connor.
Man, we can't play both Stevenson and Walker. I guess I would go Ramondre.
Yeah. Ramondre for me as well. Full PPR, Lenny, White, or Mostert.
I'll go Mostert here.
Does Jeff Wilson looking likely to play change that for you at all?
Not really, because I feel like you're in the same situation with Fournette and White anyway. I mean, they're definitely going to be splitting touches in that backfield as well. And even before Jeff Wilson went down, Mostert was starting to kind of come back and really eat into Jeff Wilson's role, and start taking that over as well. It's just a really really good matchup against the Packers. The Packers are very bad against the run, and so I think that's why I would go with. I think that's why I would go there.
Goddard or Ingram?
Goddard.
Yeah. Brian Drake, rank these quarterbacks: Brady, D. Jones, Minshew, and Purdy.
So it'd be Brady, Minshew, Jones, then Purdy for me.
I'm with you. Njoku or Juwan Johnson? This is
I'm gonna
tough.
go.
This is the red game that I was mentioning earlier on the Roto Grinders site. Snow pre-game or early game, temps in the teens, but those are the least of the concerns. We're talking 20 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds, gust over 40 miles per hour. I went to a Steelers-Browns game at Cleveland, and it is no joke. That was one of if it weren't for alcohol, would have been like a bottom 10 moment of my life. It was brutal. Like my phone battery drained because of how cold it was. Like I wasn't even pulling out my phone. Went to the stadium with a full battery, left, and it was because of the cold just sucked the energy out of my phone.
I went to a Chiefs game. This was years ago, probably about 10 years ago or so, maybe 11 years ago. They were playing the Dolphins, and it was brutal cold. I mean, it was like 2 degrees with a negative 25-degree wind chill outside. I think it was the coldest Chiefs game in their history at Arrowhead, and it was so cold your beers would start to like freeze up after about 15 minutes. It was so cold.
Yeah.
It was just it was not fun. There was nothing fun about it. Like it wasn't, even though the guy I went with, by halftime had taken his shirt off. I'm like, dude, you were fucking wild, bro. Like there is no shot. Like I don't know. Some people are just built different. They can handle that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was miserable. That wasn't fun. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, if you could find something else here between these two, because I agree. The only positive would be is maybe hitting some of these guys on some short intermediate routes, maybe hitting some, especially once you get to the goal line, maybe be able to hit one of these guys because both these guys are big red zone targets for them. So if I absolutely had to choose, I would choose Njoku just because he's more involved than what Juwan Johnson is. But this also feels like a game where they're just going to pound the rock and on both sides because that's what both these teams want to do anyway. And so it feels kind of gross. So like if you had another option out there that you could go with, maybe it would be a bad idea to look elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree. But I would actually, I think I would go Jawan here. But I'd be looking for another option for sure. Brunel, yeah, we would go Minshew over Purdy if Minshew is still available. Akers or Watson in the flex. Muted.
I'm going to go Christian Watson. This is a much different game script from what they just played against the Rams, where they didn't really have to worry about a whole lot with the Rams offense. Completely different situation here when you're facing the Dolphins. Weather isn't a concern because I believe this game's in Miami, and so it's not like you're worried about cold weather or anything like that with this. There's really no chance of rain. There's no wind here, so this game script sets up to be one that could for a lot of throwing, and so I would rather just go with Christian Watson. I know that I think people were a little frustrated with him last week, but I mean he still wasn't bad. He still saw 6 targets, 3 red zone targets. He should have had a touchdown. 4 catches, 46 yards. Played 96% of the snaps. I know Romeo Doubs coming back kind of hurt a little bit, but nothing changed last week for his usage from what he's been seeing all year. It's just he didn't score 17 touchdowns. So like he had been seeing and weeks prior. And like I said, he actually should have scored a touchdown.
Yeah. Ingram or Schultz?
I'm going to go Schultz.
Going Schultz as well. For Justin, another question here. Dobbins, Sanders, Rashad White, or Pacheco full PPR?
Miles Sanders. There's choosing one.
Yep. Miles Sanders for me as well. Eduardo is going to start Kamara over Dobbins this week to the 40-mile-per-hour winds. I think the Browns may stack the line. Should I go Dobbins again?
I would still go Kamara because the Browns have been so incredibly bad against the run this year. I think it's still a good enough spot for Kamara, who's going to see 20-plus carries in this game. The Browns are 30th in rush DVOA, 6th most rushing yards, 3rd most touchdowns, and the 6th most fantasy points to running backs. And so it's a really good spot for Alvin Kamara this week. It's just been the touchdowns haven't been there. He scored 3 touchdowns all year, and all 3 of those came in the same game. So I would trust Kamara over Dobbins because with Dobbins, I mean Dobbins is only playing roughly around 40% of the snaps, where Kamara is handling well over 80% of the snaps. He's just on the field. Touches is going to be higher. I think you can guarantee that for Kamara as well. And you'll still probably see some short dump offs, and maybe that's how you see them utilize the passing game as extension from the run. It's doing some of those things as well. So where Dobbins isn't involved, so I still think I would go Kamara
by a smidge. I agree. The Shepherd, Cowboys or Jags D?
I'd go Jags.
Yeah, Jags for me as well. I think it's a better chance for turnovers with the Jags D. Higgins, Watson, or Cooper in full PPR?
Let's go Higgins.
Higgins for me as well. Chris, what up? Godwin, Zay in bad weather, or DPJ? I mean, DPJ is not in good weather either, especially for his role of being a downfield type of threat.
Yeah, it takes him completely off the board. Like you don't even consider playing him.
No.
But it's Godwin. I don't know how many he needs, but it's definitely Godwin if they're only looking one.
Goodwin.
Oh, yeah. I'm so thinking. I used to talk about Marquise Goodwin, so I'm like, I'm not even thinking about he just put an extra O in there. Yeah, but it is Marquise Goodwin. Yeah. Forgot that he's back to being relevant again. Now Tyler Lockett's out this week. Number 2 wide receiver for the old Seahawks. I would go Marquise Goodwin, actually, I think. I think it's a little bit him being number 2, great situation here. You could definitely throw on the Chiefs pass defense, and there's it's DK Metcalf, who is the guy on the thumbnail this week because he is in a terrific spot. I have DK Metcalf as a top 5 wide receiver this week, and so he's just in a great spot against the Chiefs. They're likely going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to throw the ball more, and so. The only thing that worries me with Zay Jones is the matchup because he plays more on the outside. Christian Kirk plays more in the slot, which is going to leave him susceptible to seeing Sauce Gardner. And so, that is what would worry me about Zay is he going to see this type of volume that we're looking for? The one positive with Zay Jones has just been the pure amount of volume that he's seeing over the last few weeks, because Zay Jones, since week 10, has seen 10, 14, 7, 12, and 8 targets over that span. And he's seeing a lot of red zone targets as well. 1, 1, 2, 1, and 4 red zone targets from last week against the Cowboys. So he's seeing a lot of opportunities, seeing a lot of receptions. But this is not a great matchup though against the Jets or the Jets defense. So that's where I would probably just lean a little bit more towards Goodwin, who we're not really worried about that concern, and the game script should definitely be in favor of the passing. So I would prefer Godwin or Goodwin here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go Goodwin as well. And then either NDRB's Pacheco or Chuba, and is definitely Pacheco for this one.
Yeah, I would agree.
Danny, what up, boys? Need opinion. We need 2 here, 1 flex in the RB2 spot between Watson, Swift, Mostert, and DJ Moore.
So I'm going to go with Mostert and DJ Moore.
Samesies. Has 9. Lawrence or Carr for the championship?
I'm going to go Lawrence. Go T-Law.
I'm going to go T-Law here as well. Concerns with the Steeler game as well. More with the cold. Kev, you were talking about your timeline filling up with people trying to sell their Chiefs tickets. I've seen the same thing on the Steelers side. Just a bunch of people trying to offload their tickets because of how the weather is setting up.
And I hate that I don't remember who sent it, but I saw somebody tweet out this week. Derek Carr in cold weather games is just atrocious. He is terrible in his career in cold weather games, in games of below 40, and he's even worse below freezing. And so, that's why I know it's not necessarily great weather either for Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence can still, he gives you a little bit something on the ground as well. I mean, it's not a ton, but he still can get you, 30 or 40 rushing yards. He can get you a rushing touchdown. He does have 4 of those on the year. And so it's just Trevor Lawrence has been really good this year. I think he's been a nice surprise. It's crazy what happens when Urban Meyer, gets run out of town and they install an actual NFL head coach. Because he's number 7 on the year in fantasy points per game, 19.3. So he's been really good. And especially as of late, he has been a QB1 in 5 of his last 6 games. So I would just trust Trevor Lawrence.
So I found the tweet that you were talking about. It came from friend of the show, Heath Cummings, over at CBS. It says Derek Carr career in 40 degrees or below. It's definitely going to be well below that in this game. He is 1-7 for his record. His teams score an average of 16 points per game. He has a 56% completion percentage. Touchdown to interception ratio is 9-8. A 72.9 passer rating, and he averages 13.1 fantasy points per game in those games.
Yeah.
Waller or Kittle?
It's Kittle.
Kittle. Yep. Carlos is one of the Hurts owners. Sorry to hear that, Carlos, but the best replacement option, Watson, Minshew, or Foles. I'm assuming it's going to be Minshew for both of us.
Yes.
Caden, start 2.5 PPR, Ayuk, Watson, Pittman, and Kirk.
So locking Pittman in here for me.
Man.
And then it gets interesting because
I lean Kirk.
Because I think I would go Brandon Ayuk. I know we're not probably going to be a huge help, but I think I would go Brandon Ayuk here.
And maybe lightning will strike twice here for me. I just feel like Kirk is due. Right, like it's been Zay Jones, it's been Evan Ingram. Like the targets have still been there for Christian Kirk. I just feel like maybe like a little bit with this weather, with the fact that, Sauce Gardner doesn't go into the slot, and I think it's going to be a better Kirk game. So I'm going to go Kirk. I do like Ayuk this week, but I lean Christian Kirk for the overall matchup purposes. Obviously, Ayuk. It's not like Ayuk has a difficult matchup either, but I think because of where the Jets' defense strengths are in the secondary, that is going to help Kirk out more. Where do you have? How far apart are Ayuk and Kirk in your rankings?
So I have Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver 24, and I have Christian Kirk at wide receiver 28.
Okay. I think we're probably close, just like in the opposite direction. So, somebody in the chat wants to help out Caden here and break the tie for us.
So I guess like if you're looking at it from this, just I guess like a little more like on my like so with Christian Kirk, I definitely agree. Like he plays a ton from the slot. He runs around 52% of the snaps from the slot, which is his third highest rate among any wide receiver. He's still seeing a pretty respectable 23% target share in the offense as well, seeing roughly 8 targets. And he was good last week. He just didn't get any of the touchdowns that Zay Jones gobbled up from him last week, but he still went 6 for 92 in that game. He's still seeing a pretty healthy target share every single week. He's seeing red zone touches as well. Like that's not really the problem. He's 5th in red zone targets on the year among all wide receivers. He's 10th in deep targets. So like he does make sense. Like he's not a bad play. And if you're kind of peeling each of these games back and say, okay, how are they going to get beat? So if the Jaguars are going to win this game, who are surprisingly could still make the playoffs. They're not that far. Like it definitely could happen for them. So this is kind of a must-win game for both of these teams. So this is like a game that really matters for both these teams, and which is wild to say the Jets and the Jags game actually matters. I think in years past you'd be like, this is a terrible game.
In late December, nonetheless.
Yes, but now this game matters a ton for both of these teams, and so. But I think if how you're going to beat them, like you're probably going to be less inclined to attack them in the slot. You're probably more inclined to, or not in the slot, but on the outside because of their outside corners who are very, very good for the Jets. Like you said, Sauce Gardner has been one of the best corners in the league as a rookie. And so, Christian Kirk does make sense in that way that maybe they look to attack more in the slot. But the Jets have been good against the slot. They've allowed, like they're in the 10th fewest PPR points from the slot on the season. And so they have been pretty good against the slot, but I think they can still that's the area where they can be exposed the most. The only thing that would worry me with him though is Evan Ingram, who also does a lot for in the slot as well. And so that would be the only thing that worried me about would be Evan Ingram taking some of that opportunity away. But I still think that you could probably factor in probably 8 to 10 targets for Christian Kirk. With Brandon Ayuk, it's a great matchup for against the Commanders. The Commanders, if they struggle anywhere, it's definitely against the pass. And I know we saw Saquon Barkley have a pretty good game against them on the ground, but typically they are doing a very good job against the run. And so I think if they open it up a little bit, my only concern with the 49ers would just be game script of how much they have to throw. Are they really forced to really open this game up? So I think there's a case to be made for Christian Kirk. I think it's very close between the two of them. It's just for Brandon Ayuk, there's a little bit less target competition without Deebo Samuel. It's just Ayuk and it's Kittle. Really, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, who could see 46 targets in this game because last week it felt like the entire offense ran through Christian McCaffrey. And so I think it's close in a half-point PPR. So for me, it comes down to like who I think can score a touchdown because receptions aren't as important in a half-point PPR. And I just lean towards Ayuk, probably having a little bit better shot of scoring a touchdown than Christian Kirk.
I know you mentioned the Jets giving up the 10th fewest fantasy points from the slot, but I will say that their slot corner, Michael Carter II, not to be confused with the other Michael Carter on the Jets, has given up the 6th most yards from the slot. So just to sweeten it up here a little bit. Good luck to you, Caden. Hope to see you here next week. Kev, the pressure's on here, man. It's the first time Ed is making the semifinals. So we need to set this lineup here. Allen and Gino at quarterback. Then we have Metcalf, Mike Will, Lamb, Mixon, Sanders, Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, available White, Mostert, Everett, Hawkinson, Dicker, Gano, Bills defense. So we're not worrying about the Bills defense. Still going Josh Allen. I know we have some weather concerns in that game, but Josh Allen can still get it done with his legs. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, there's no shot of sitting Josh Allen. Yeah.
No. I mean, if we just need two here, let's assume we need two of these wide receivers. Which one are you gonna, I guess, sit for now? Sitting Mike Williams, going Metcalf and Lamb.
Yeah.
Mixon and Sanders were playing, and then I'm assuming we need at least one flex. So Mike Williams would then go in the flex over the Indy running backs.
Correct.
Okay. I guess if we need a second one, I would pick up Mostert and play Mostert over Moss and Deion.
Correct.
Boom. Good luck to you, Ed.
If it was me, honestly, I know it's semifinals. You don't have much time left, so it isn't really that important. But I would drop Zach Moss and Jackson and pick up Rachaad White.
I'd pick up White. Yeah.
I'd pick up both those guys and drop Zach Moss and Deion Jackson if it was me.
I guess we need tight end here as well. So Everett or Hawk.
I'm going Hawkinson.
Okay. Boom. Sharma, JK or ETN? I'm going to go ETN. All right, I'm sorry, JK. JK, I'm going JK.
I would actually go ETN here. It's very close. I have ETN at RB 16 and I have Dobbins at 17. So it's like splitting hairs.
Okay.
I think they're both in the kind of a similar situation here. Travis Etienne is the workhorse who, who's going to see far more, is going to be the guy who pretty much handles most of the carries, most of the opportunities from the backfield, but not as good of a matchup where you have J.K. Dobbins, who's not going to be on the field as much, only for play roughly probably 38 to 40% of the snaps, but he's still probably going to see 14 to 16 carries, no involvement in the passing game.
No.
But he's got a better matchup against the Falcons.
Two running backs here in a PPR for Brian, Dobbins, Zeke, Kamara in bad weather, Chubb hurt in bad weather. Which two do we like?
I think Chubb's fine. I think it's just more end of season rest than anything. Like I said, he already said he's going to play, or he expects to play. So I would go Chubb. This is like the perfect game script for Nick Chubb to just go off, games like this. And I mean, we just saw, old Tyler Algier just gash this Browns team for 30 yards in a score. So, I would go with Chubb, and then I would go with. I think I would go Dobbins. But I don't know. Like I like Kamara too. I think you can play both of them, Kamara and Chubb. But if you want to get split it up a little bit, I think Dobbins just because Kamara is it's a really good matchup. Talked about it, but man, he has been so underwhelming this year.
Good matchup for him last week as well. I'll go Chubb and Kamara.
Yeah.
Guy Porsche. We need two here: Walker, Chark, Akers, Boyd, and Campbell.
So Kenneth Walker's a lock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna go with Cam Akers.
Yeah, I agree. It feels gross, but I'm with you. Jeez Louise. Najee or Ken? Sure, we're both going Ken here.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to you as well, Porsche. Let's get these ships indeed. Swift, Monty, or Algier?
I'm going to go Swift.
I agree, but God. Yeah. Let's go Swift. I don't think it drops all that much, Jeff.
I think it's ultimately going to depend on what they do this offseason to because they clearly need, like, I feel like they're missing that, like, one piece on the offensive side, and that piece may be just firing Brandon Staley and getting a new getting a new offensive philosophy in here, because it's some of the stuff they do is maddening. I mean, but their wide receivers are getting older. I think they would be very wise to draft an early round, wide receiver to supplement. I think Josh Palmer is a good player, but he's not like an alpha. And Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are still good, but they are getting up there in age. They're starting to, show their age a little bit. Injuries continue to be a problem for them, and it's just what's just been frustrating. I mean, even Austin Eckler is getting up there in age. I mean, he's not young either, and so they definitely need some infusion of some young talent here. So um, I love Justin Herbert, and I hope they do a little bit more to surround Herbert with some weapons here, because not that the weapons he has are bad, but these guys are getting pretty old, getting much older.
Yeah. Enrique has Garrett and Lamb starting. Need a receiver to put at flex. Options are AJ Brown, D Hop, and Zay Jones. I mean, it's obviously AJ Brown.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't answer right away is I was like wondering if I wanted to
I
play Zay Jones over Garrett Wilson.
I still have Garrett Wilson as a top 20 wide
But
receiver this week.
yeah, I don't think I do. And with McSorley, if this were oh my God, I almost said Sam Bradford.
Cole McCoy. Talk about a blast from the past.
That's the first. That was the name that was coming to my mind, and I knew it was wrong. If this were Cole McCoy, I'd be playing D Hop over Wilson. But since it's not, I'll keep Wilson in. But it's definitely AJ Brown.
Yeah.
How many bad weather games this week? So as of right now, we have 2 orange games. Again, I'll drop the link in the chat for what Kev and I referenced, but this is from Roto Grinders. We have 2 orange games, which is Jacksonville and the Jets. The Thursday night games, because we have a steady rain, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds, which isn't awful, but cold rain the entire game. So it looks like it'll have an impact on the passing game. Not a huge one though. The other orange game is Buffalo and Chicago. This one is because of the winds. We have sustained winds at 20 to 25 miles an hour with gusts up to 35. Going to be cold as well. A couple of yellow games with Houston and Tennessee. That one's most likely just because of the temperature. Same thing with the Kansas City game. Same thing with the New England game. Same thing with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So just a bunch of cold weather games. Not a ton of wind in any of those. But then we have a red game with Cleveland where it's cold and we have the winds that are going to be sustained the entire time. So those are the games that we are paying attention to for weather.
Yeah, I think if I could, I mean, I probably would not play anybody not named Alvin Kamara or Nick Chubb from that Saints Cleveland game. I would bench
Yeah.
Cooper. I would bench Chris Olave. I just really don't want to play them. If I was desperate, you could play Njoku just because of how bad the position is, but I really wouldn't want to play anybody from that. Once you get sustained winds of over 20 miles an hour, it really ruins passing games. Like it, and
Yeah.
you're going to see teams not throw the ball at all. This feels like a game where these quarterbacks could end up throwing the ball 15 times combined. Like it may not be very much they throw the ball at all. And so I would completely, especially now this week, we've seen this before. I think it was it last year or the year before Cleveland had a game like this where they just didn't throw the ball at all, and the weather was terrible. But it looks very similar. So I would avoid that game completely. The other games I think aren't really as big of a deal outside of the Buffalo game. Now, Buffalo game, you're not sitting Josh Allen because Josh Allen can rack up 100 yards rushing, right? And he can get there on the ground. And so that's why I'm not as concerned with Buffalo, but I still would knock Josh Allen down a little bit from what you normally would expect for him because he's not going to throw the ball 40 times and be airing it out. Like that's not going to happen either if we're looking at 20, 25 mile an hour winds. Because once you get anything over 20 miles an hour, that's when it really, really affects passing games. So Josh Allen does take a hit in terms of who you have, but you're probably not going to have anybody that I would feel comfortable playing him over. And because he possesses that Konami code, that rushing upside, that's what makes him still in play.
Yeah. CB, we need 2 running backs here in a PPR: Monty, Dobbins, McKinnon, and Waka.
So I'm going to go with Walker and McKinnon in a PPR.
Let's go. I'm with you. Dobbins is right there with McKinnon, but Walker and J-Mac for me as well. CB is also feeling the effects of losing Jalen Hurts, Lawrence, Minshew, or Goff.
Yeah, we've had this before. I'm going to go with Lawrence. I get it if you want to go with Minshew, just because of the weather and stuff like that, but I would go T-Law.
I'm going to go Goff. Notice the whole Goff on the road thing that we always talk about, and the home road splits are real, but I'm just not worried about this matchup. I think the Lions are starting to feel themselves a little bit. Pulled off that win. I think they're 7-1 in their last 8, something wild like that. They're now sitting at 500. So give me Goff here. But Minshew would be my next one. So CB, if you're not feeling Goff and you want some, oh no, wait, you said you go Lawrence, so that doesn't help at all. Sorry, we couldn't help you there, CB. BJ needs another one here. Pick one between Goodwin, Mack, Deion Jackson, or James Cook in a full PPR.
I'm gonna go Goodwin.
Go Marquise as well. Crab Gravy. Pick 2 in a flex in a PPR. Monty, Rashad, DBJ, Olave, Burks, Wilson. Also have Hurts my QB. If he doesn't play, who do I pick up? We're both going to be on Minshew for the QB part of that, but let's pick 2 flexes here for the Gravy Man.
So I'm going to go Rashad White.
I'm going to go White and Monty. I just feel like I know I've been talking about how poor the matchup is for Monty, and I don't think I've picked Monty at all yet. But I think Montgomery sees more volume than Jeff Wilson.
I would go White, and if he plays, I'm going to go Treylon Burks. He's practiced now, back-to-back days here. Sounds like he's trending towards being able to return from this his concussion against Houston, and so I think I'm going to go with Treylon Burks here.
I just don't want to dick around with Malik Willis. That's my only issue.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, I think the other option I think would be you probably go Montgomery.
Yeah.
But there's also with Montgomery though something we have to take consideration is that Khalil Herbert looks like he's coming back, and he's going to be back this week. If he's back this week, we know what that means for David Montgomery. That his role is going to drop, and he's not going to get the 70-80% of the opportunities that he's been seeing. Because it looks like Khalil Herbert is heading towards playing this week, so it is a kind of a muddled mess. So obviously, we'd love to say Olave, but with the weather, you have to take those guys off the board.
I think he missed practice today too.
So.
Yeah. Emmanuel, hello, my favorite fantasy channel. Made it to the semi in 2 out of 3 leagues. Let's keep it going. JT and Sanders ruined my other lineup. I feel you on the Sanders thing. He sunk me in a dynasty league where I went out and made 3 trades, like right at the deadline to try to make the push, and he just absolutely sunk me. Anyway, need help at QB, have Hurts. Should I pick up Minshew, Danny Dimes, or Zach Wilson? It's definitely not Zach Wilson. Emmanuel, do not be fooled by his stats last week. And I'm going to go Minshew.
I agree.
Man, Emmanuel just getting it all over the place. In the Yahoo League, lost Kyler, was forced to play Rodgers last week and won. Should I keep Rodgers or pick up Minshew, Russ, Wilson, or Pickett?
This is Rodgers. This is a good spot for him against the Dolphins.
Yeah,
so yeah, I would go A-Rod.
You have Dobbs coming back as well, which is a help. So, might have been. Could this possibly be the first time that all 3 of those receivers are playing together?
Maybe I think early in the year, but yeah, I think it might be.
DT. You need to start 2 and bench 1 here out of Kamara, Godwin, and D-Hop.
I would bench Hopkins.
Pains me to say, but I'm with you. Jasmine back with us. Hey guys. PPR 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. Stevenson, Walker, McKinnon, Higgins, Wilson, Coop, Evans, and Kirk. So start with the running back. Kev, I know you like both these guys this week. Stevenson or Walker?
I'm going to go Stevenson.
Okay, 2 wide receivers. Higgy, Wilson, Cooper, Evans, and Kirk.
Higgins and Evans.
Yep, I'm with you.
So it was so maddening with Mike Evans. I see him on here. He was, oh man, the first half I was like, okay, here we go. He's finally turning around.
Yeah.
He's having a game. He's having a big game. Let's go. Let's get it. And then they just fucking, over and over and over and over again, turned it over in the second half. I'm like, what is going on? It looks like it was going to be the nuts week for Mike Evans, and then just took it away from us. It looks so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's who I would go with, that wide receiver. And then we need a flex. I would go Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. Kittle or Ingram? I'm going Kittle.
Yep.
Chris, appreciate your help last week. We're in the semis. Let's go. Got 1 start sit question with Hurts questionable. Should I roll Lawrence or Minshew?
We're going to be split here. I'm going to go Lawrence.
I'm going to go Minshew. I'm with you, Chris. The Jets defense and the weather has me worried a little bit for Lawrence. I'm with you. Fletcher, PPR, ETN, Swift, Dobbins, or Zonovan. We need 2.
So ETN, I'm going to go ETN and Dobbins.
Samesies, with you. Derek, Patty Fry, or Komet rest of season. Consider dropping Muth for Komet based on Bears matchups, week 17-18. Have Andrews looking for a solid backup if I decide to bench him in the championship weeks. I mean, I don't think you need to worry about that, Derek, unless you just have like somebody on your roster who's just an absolute zero. I wouldn't be, especially with these two in these matchups that they have either. I'm not going to, I know Andrews has not been good, but I'm not going to bench Andrews for either of these guys this week. So I would just worry about that if that time comes, to be honest. Like, I don't think anyone in your league is also going to be running out to pick up either of those guys. So I don't think like you're going to miss out. And Lamar should be coming back, so that should definitely help.
Yeah, I don't know who they're going to throw the ball to, but yeah.
Sammy Watkins, baby.
Oh my God, I know. I mean, Devin Duvernay. I mean, that team. No Devin. So Devin Duvernay's gone. You know, obviously you know Rashad Bateman. Like, just holding on hope. Holding on to hope.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about picking up your backup tight end, Derek. I would just leave that as is. Because I'm assuming if Patty Fry and Komet are out there, that this is probably like a 10-team league, I would assume. So I wouldn't want to drop a usable flex piece for a backup tight end. Andrea, would you sit Mixon and play Dobbins and McKinnon? I would play both over Mixon.
I would probably still play Mixon just because of his involvement in the passing game. It's what's made him pretty valuable. Dobbins isn't, and it's a PPR. Because Joe Mixon, that's really where a lot of his value is coming from because he is 8th in targets among all running backs. And even in the last couple of weeks, so since he's been back, last week he did see 6 targets last week. Only saw 2 the week before that against Cleveland, but game script a little bit different there. But that's kind of how he's been getting there this year and kind of making him still pretty viable. I know it's not a good matchup against New England. We talked about all that, but like I just in this spot, I would probably still go Mixon over him. But if I had to play one of those over him, I would probably go McKinnon just because we know what his ceiling is. Like,
so you would go McKinnon and Mixon and sit Dobbins?
if yes, Abraham's back.
I was just thinking, but I was like, man, no Abraham. Maybe he'll be back Friday. I just want to say for anyone who's still rocking with us, obviously with Christmas being on Sunday, we're not going to do the Sunday morning show, but we will be back with you guys on Friday as well. So as we have more information, Thursday game under wraps, we'll be back with you guys on Friday night. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So excited. Darius, need 2 wide receivers. PPR, Gabe Davis. Nope. Zay Jones, DJ Chark, or DPJ. Nope. I guess just by process of elimination here, I'm going to go Zay and Chark. Not dicking around with DPJ. Not playing Gabe Davis either.
Yeah, I agree.
Because of their roles and because of the wind that both of those guys are going to be in. Now watch Gabe Davis take like a slant 90 yards for a score. But yeah, I'm going Zay and DJ. Patty Fryer, Dalton Schultz and a half PPR. I'm going to go Schultz. We need to drop one here for Rico, Waller, Taysom, or Evan Ingram.
I would drop Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Should I play Deontay over Zay this week?
Yeah.
I would. Okay, if I'm getting messed up here with the with that dating bot that came in, and I can definitely tell I'm missing some. So I don't know if you want to take over.
Kyle
was not seeing this one at all.
Well, that's good.
It's gonna be McLaurin for me.
Yeah, I agree, especially with the weather and everything else we have there. Peter, Goff, or Fields? I still go Justin Fields.
Man. Just
Like
feels so thin.
Yeah. Thing with him is though is like he doesn't throw the ball anyway, and so like him
I
not
know.
throwing the ball very much isn't like it's like oh no it's gonna kill him, like it doesn't matter. But it is against Buffalo. Buffalo's defense is very good, obviously. So, but it's
Third
just
and rush DVOA.
yeah, but Justin Fields just keeps coming through every single week. Last week he did it again. QB7 last week. I mean, he has now been a QB1. You have to go all the way back to week 5, and the last time that he wasn't. I mean, he's just so damn consistent because of his rushing ability. I mean, he's a running back. Is what he is, and I just can't see myself sitting him.
I feel like this is the Breaking Bad clip where he just breaking down. He's like, he can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm going to say Fields, but I hate it. I hate it. Just feel like such a clown, though, if I sit Fields. Because I feel like Goff doesn't have like a high ceiling
No,
in
not
this
in this
game,
spot. No.
right? So like, I don't think it's going to be a huge difference between the two, and I think Fields has the higher ceiling. So I'm going to go Fields.
You know what goodness we're gonna get next week? We're gonna Goff and Fields in Detroit.
I was going to say, please tell me that's a home game.
In the Coors Fields, and people understand that if they follow baseball of football right now.
Yeah.
And Ford Field, like it is going to be electric. I'm looking forward to that game. The points that could be scored there in that game. So, yeah, fantasy championships. We're gonna be won and lost on that game. The Booty Warrior, happy to see you back. Don't fear, the Booty Warrior is here. Pittman or Jerick McKinnon in the flex. I'm gonna go with Pittman on this
one.
I get it with McKinnon, but it feels like in this spot with this what we're talking about here, it feels a little chasey, right? McKinnon's still only handling, he's only getting about 6 carries a game. Everything he's doing is through the air, and so I don't know how much.
Close to the same amount of targets, right?
And the other thing that I think that we're gonna have to factor in is McCole Hardman's return, because they do a lot of stuff with McCole Hardman that they've been doing with McKinnon. And I don't know how that's going to change things with McCole Hardman back. He's expected to play this week. I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket, but it's just Pittman feels much safer. I think projectable volume, Nick Foles is a more than capable backup quarterback. And so I could see, I don't think it changes a whole lot going from Matt Ryan to Nick Foles. I think it's kind of the same. And Pittman just gets peppered with targets. So I know it's been good for Pittman, but that's the way I would see it.
I'm gonna go Pittman as well, Booty Warrior, but it's really close for me.
Kelly, pick 3: DJ Chark, Marquise Goodwin, Deonta Foreman, DPJ, Dalton Schultz, Darren Waller. Thanks. You rock. No, you rock, Kelly. For me, it's Goodwin. I'm going to start. I can't believe we're doing this. I mean, Marquise Goodwin. I mean, it feels like,
What could go wrong?
Yeah, but
I'm going to go Goodwin and the 2 tight ends.
Yeah, I think I agree. JR, yo fellas, yo JR. If you had to play Deonta Foreman or Chuba Hubbard as your flex, which one would you play versus Detroit? If I'm going to play one of them, it's going to be Hubbard, mainly because I think he'd be more involved in the passing game. The Lions have done a very good job shutting down opposing running backs. I mean, we just saw it again last week. It was on of a night. We've seen it a ton with the other running backs they've done it against. I'm not trusting Foreman. If they fall behind, it's going to be Chuba Hubbard who's going to see the opportunity. So I'm gonna lean on Chuba Hubbard. That's who I would go with here in the spot. And not to mention Foreman hasn't been that great lately either. And so
For
I would
weeks.
go Hubbard here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Hubbard as well, and Hubbard outsnapped Foreman last week. So
Goat manager with another question. And Goat, by the way, what is your thoughts on the Andrew Benintendi signing? What's your thoughts? Just I thought I'd ask. Largest contract in White Sox history. $75 million. Hate to see it. Would you start Waddle over Diggs? I think I would still go Diggs. I would feel like a super donkey sitting Stephon Diggs. I get it. We talked about this weather. We've talked about all this stuff. But I just can't sit Stephon Diggs.
neither can I.
There are very few players that I would look at as like, I don't want to say like, but the players that I just absolutely would not want to sit. And he's one of them.
Yeah. I did move Diggs down. I think when I opened up Fantasy Pros, I think he was sitting at like 3, I want to say. I think I bumped him all the way down to like, let's say like 8 or 9, if I'm remembering correctly. But I still kept him in the top 10.
Yeah. Live creation, T-Law, Minshew, or Darnold. Again, we're gonna keep doing this. I am team Trevor Lawrence, and he is Gardner Minshew.
Yep.
And his is mainly because of
weather and matchup.
Yes. Old Abe, Honest Abe's back. Happy to have it. Was our one of our highlights of last week's show. Having him on. He is back again, 100 scrimmage yards, but failed to fall into the box of 6 points. Wait, did I miss one? I think I missed one.
I don't have anything else. Maybe Honest
this was put in because 4 scores 7 days ago. I came to you guys with an inquiry regarding my sportsman. You guys selected Kamara of the Saints to be on my front lines. He put up a valiant effort
okay.
with upwards of
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. With upwards of 100 scrimmage yards, but failed to fall into the box of 6 points. His comrade James Conner outperformed him while on the back lines, but not to worry, as Joshua Allen gave me 35 points and led us to victory. I have scrapped my way into the playoffs, and my soldiers are more confident than ever. I have come here on horseback through this grotesque weather with an inquiry regarding my beloved pigskin carriers. So fantastic. I require 1 running back and 1 flex. Of these individuals, who shall I start? Kamara, Walker, Higgins, or Cooper?
Just fantastic. Just so good.
I love it. It is my favorite thing.
Just so good.
I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker and T. Higgins.
I require. That is so good. Yeah, I'm with you. Walker and Higgy for me as well.
Abraham, Honest Abe, please don't leave.
Thank you.
Let's keep coming back. This has been one of our it's only been the second week, but this is now turned into a tradition that I love. So
yes, hold near and dear to my heart.
To disregard the first bit, as my hands are freezing in these frigid temperatures, and I accidentally pasted my letter in the incorrect order. Hey, I appreciate you. You're out here. You know, you're on the front lines. You know, you're trying to lead the troops. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. I appreciate you.
Yeah, you apologize for nothing, Abe.
Live Christian, do you all subscribe to the strategy of starting running backs in bad weather games?
Depends on who you have.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's certainly the safer of the group, but I wouldn't just blindly do it. Right? Like, if you had Tyler Algier in a bad weather game going up against like Washington, for instance. Like I'm not just going to blindly do that. JB, Everett, or Komet. That is 100% Everett.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Everett. Yeah, that's what I would go with.
Probably thought Everett was your guy.
He just has been kind of he's been pretty underwhelming for the most part this year. He's had a couple of like decent weeks, but like he just hasn't been that great, especially since like the early part of the season. Uh, he does have a couple, not that it takes a whole lot to be a top 12 tight end, but because I mean 8 fantasy points got to get you there for the most part. But he's been okay. Like he hasn't killed you. He's not somebody that's like putting you over the top. Yeah, he only has one double digit fantasy performance. You have to since week 7, but he's been consistent 9, 4, 8, 13, 8, and 8 for him. So he's fine.
Algier or White?
I'm gonna go with White. I know Algier just came off his best game of the year, just absolutely crushed last week. Caleb Huntley is now on IR, but Baltimore is very, very good against the run. They are 6th in rush DVOA. They're actually 1st in rush DVOA over the last 4 weeks. They've allowed the 7th fewest fantasy points to running back. So just not a great spot for Tyler Algier. I know he was in a bad spot too, because I mean the Saints have been pretty good against opposing running backs as well this year. But the thing that I will say with the Saints, they're actually over the last 4 weeks, they're actually 25th in rush DVOA. So they've really taken a pretty big hit in terms of rush and how good they are against the run. So I just can't trust that Algier in that spot. So I would go Rashad White. 808, what's up, Cody and Kevin and Cody? Merry early Christmas. You as well, 808. Hope you are doing well. Please flex Chris Olave, Uncle Lenny, Rashad White, Deontay Foreman, Hollywood, Marquise Goodwin, Deion Jackson. Thanks.
I'm going to go Unco on this one. It's between one of those two Tampa running backs for me.
I think Goodwin's in the conversation, but I agree. I'd probably go Lenny.
Frito, T-Law, or Goff?
T-Law.
Hawk Goddard. I'm going to go Hawk.
I'm going to go Hawkinson.
CVB. Post my lineup under this comment, but my question is, would you play Andrews or Juwan Johnson tight end? Would you change out anyone in my lineup? Appreciate your help. I'm still going Mark Andrews there over Juwan Johnson, especially with the weather, and the Falcons, I think, are giving up the 6th most fantasy points per game to tight ends. So I'm still going Mark Andrews there. And then are we switching anyone out? I'm assuming you're with me, Kev. Andrews over Juwan Johnson.
I would, especially because of the weather. It's just been so frustrating with Mark Andrews. Like you have to go back to week 6. Like I mean, he was crushing early in the season. 10.2, 25.7, 28.9, 3.5, then 2022, 23 fantasy points, and then it's just like the bottom is falling out. 0.4, 6.3, 12.3, 11, 9, 3.7, and 6.1. Really kind of since he's gotten injured and banged up, like he has just not been the same guy, but he's still seeing a lot of volume because he's the only one there. They have nobody else to throw the ball to. And so I would still go Mark Andrews.
Then the starters here: Kirk Cousins, Chase, ARSB, Stevenson, Mixon, Andrews, McKinnon, McLaughlin, Browns D. And on the bench, we have Danny Dimes, Ayuk, DPJ, Kirk, White, and Jawan. I don't think I'm making any changes.
I probably wouldn't either. If I was going to, it'd be Christian Kirk over Jerick McKinnon. That would be about the only thing I would consider.
Okay. That sounds like something out of Oregon Trail.
That game was so elite back in the
It
day.
really
Like people
was.
don't understand, you
No,
know, the life and death decisions you had to make to try to get your family across. That you have to go out there and hunt, and everything else. And
but
that
you
game was
can't kill too much. You don't want to waste the meat, so you can't just go out there and just hunt a bunch of bison.
felt like you just died every time from dysentery or whatever it
Yeah,
was,
that's right.
and it was super frustrating. Do you float across the river? Or it was such a great. That was such
Yeah,
awesome. People don't understand.
no.
Or how about I'm gonna throw this out to the chat. Math munchers. Does anybody remember math munchers back in the day?
Mm-mm.
So like that was like clearly it was obviously math game, but like you would answer like you'd get it right, and then like you would like your person would move. And there was also a racing one I think might have been part of it, where like it would be like a racing game, and like as you answer the questions, like you move forward. Like those were the days back on like the like the you had to use DOS and everything to a floppy disk put it in there.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that old. Okay, people listen. One of the things that really pissed me off this year is people. So you obviously know this, but a lot of people in the comments or the chat don't know. But I coached my son's youth baseball team, and we're 12U, and we were having a practice this year. We were talking about, and then somehow came up like it was like, who do you guys think is who do you think is the oldest coach here? And they picked me.
Unanimous.
Yes, unanimously. All of them were like, "Oh, it's you." And I'm like, "You motherfuckers! I am the youngest here." I'm like, "You all run. You're just running the rest of practice. I don't care what you say. I am the youngest. Okay, I am not that old. I am 37. I don't feel like that is not old at all. But yes. Anyways, that and then that just brought to my mind the AOL, the disc that used to get them in the mail
Hmm.
for more hours for the
Yep.
AOL American Online. That was elite. And then whenever like especially when you were in like high school, like if a girl got on like early high school, like freshman year and stuff like that, you saw that she was on. Oh, that door opened. Super excited. People don't understand that.
No.
You know.
Away messages were the best. Like that's one part of like all social media that, like I miss. Like away messages were always my favorite.
Yeah.
Anyway, get back on track here. Terrence, we need two running backs: Dobbins, White, ETN, Jamal Williams, Djax, full PPR. I'm going Dobbins and ETN.
Dobbins and yeah, ETN. Agreed.
Bucks or Jets? I'm gonna go Bucks.
Yes. Agreed.
Brady, Purdy, or Goff?
I'm still gonna go Brady. It's close between Brady and Goff, but I would still go Brady.
I agree. Non PPR, Mixon, AJ Dillon, or one of the Indy running backs.
I'm gonna go with
This is
Mixon.
Mixon. Yeah. Yang, DJ Moore, Waddle, CD. We need to sit one.
As much as I like DJ Moore this week, I'm still setting him for Waddle and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. Anime. Big semifinals week. Absolutely. We need two here between Pollard, Mostert, Najee, Rashad, and ETN.
I'm gonna go Pollard and Najee.
Did not see that one coming. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on Pollard.
I have Najee at RB 15, just ahead of Travis Etienne.
Is that weather matchup?
Uh, really matchup based for Najee. It's a pretty good spot against the Raiders. Raiders aren't very good against the run. They're 21st in rush DVOA, 14th most rushing yards, 12th most touchdowns, and the most schedule adjusted PPR points per game.
Guess just because I haven't really been like thinking about Najee at all. Like he's just someone that hasn't been like on my mind like whatsoever. And also, RIP to Franco. Penn State, great Steeler legend.
Oh yeah, Franco Harris.
Sad man. They were gonna have the his number was getting retired this week at the Raiders game. It was the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception as well. Sad. I'm with you. I'll rock with Najee.
Yeah, go manager. I think Benintendi was a good signing in my opinion. Maybe overpaid, but we need to win now, and our outfield has always been injured. I absolutely agreed. They definitely needed an outfielder. Now they need a second baseman, but it was a good signing. I mean, he's not some elite player, but he's probably inside probably the top 10 left fielders in the game. Hopefully Oscar Colas in right field can come through and right because that's the other side. We do not need Andrew Vaughn, who's going to be playing first, or like Gavin Sheets or anybody playing in the outfield this year. So I think it's a good signing. Just they paid a little bit too much. Team E, Chubb or Elliott, Zay Jones, Garrett Wilson, Elliott, or Juju at the flex. I'm going to go Chubb. And then I would go Juju in the flex.
I'm with you.
Brunel, would you guys rather pick up Minshew or Russ? Minshew. 808. Do you think Miles Sanders bounces back? Yes. It is a huge. I think it's a big upgrade for them to get. I don't want to see anybody hurt, obviously, but Jalen Hurts getting hurt is an upgrade for Miles Sanders. Played Where in the World is currently. Yes, that game was good too. That game was excellent too.
Yeah.
Try to figure out where she was at. That game was awesome as well. Chris, hey guys, would you start Zonovan Knight, Deonta Foreman, Akers, Zach Moss? I'm gonna go Zonovan on this one. This would be a Zonovan Knight.
Yep.
I think he bounces back in a pretty good spot against Jacksonville. Where's the ad for Zonovan? Jacksonville's 14th in rushing yards, or the 14th in rush DVOA. They do allow the 10th most touchdowns and the 19th most fantasy points for running back. So I do think Zonovan Knight's in a good spot. You are not 37. You turned 25. Stop playing this year. I know. You're right. You're 100% right on that. I thought Kevin was at least 40, not 50 or 60. Younger than 40. Props to that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not old, man. Shave if you want to look young. I can't do that. I haven't shaved like this beard off since I got out of the Navy. Now, maybe the gray. I think it's the gray that throws him off. There's a little bit of gray in the beard, But I think it makes me look distinguished, if anything. It makes me look, like a scholar and a gentleman. Yeah, I have rich leather-bound books in my my house smells of mahogany, if you will. So,
San Diego means the whale's vagina.
Yeah. I'm 32. My 6-year-old called me old, and it broke my heart too. Yeah, I think the kids now are referring to the 90s as the late 1900s, and they can go fuck themselves. Fuck them kids with saying stuff like that. So the AOL door opening and closing was elite. Yes, absolutely. And then you're like, again, there's somebody you like, somebody, ooh, she's on. Let's go, boys. Time to get this going here. Or, the chat rooms in the early part, the ASL part. That was great. See Crip. Hey, fellas, how's it going? I need a flex QB. Full PPR. Zay Jones, Pacheco, Monty, Murray, Christian Watson, Mike Evans. For quarterback starts, Cousins, T-Law, or Goff. Thanks, guys. Thank you, C Crip.
Cousins a quarterback.
Yep.
Then flex. Man, some interesting options here.
I would go Mike Evans.
I'm going to go Pacheco. I think Pacheco is probably safer, but Evans potentially has a higher ceiling if they can ever get that fucking offense together.
Yeah.
Juju here for me, anime.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would go with Juju there as well. Chris, Zonovan Knight, Zach Moss, Slayton, Foreman, Akers for a flex spot. Thanks. I think it's actually between Slayton and Knight for me.
I'm going to go Zonovan.
I'm going to go Darius Slayton. It's just a really, really, really good matchup against the Vikings. Vikings secondary is terrible. And so yeah, I think I'm gonna go Slayton.
I know we skipped a couple, Joe Perry. Well, but since we're on the Slayton thing, Mike had this question: Slayton over D Hop.
I don't think it's crazy, just because of it's Trace McSorley, and it's not a good matchup either against the Bucks. Really in the first half of that game, if they didn't turn the ball over, I think the Bucks win that game. Like they just they did a pretty good job of actually shutting down the Bengals in that first half of that game, right? And I just can't see Trace McSorley out here carving up the Bucks and like making it to where you're going to regret it. But it is still DeAndre Hopkins. It's possible he could see 15 targets, and maybe they're kind of like what we saw with Michael Pittman last week, right? Where Pittman got like no yardage whatsoever, but he was just peppered with all these really short targets, really short ADOT. I actually think, crazy as it sounds, I think Slayton has a higher ceiling than DeAndre Hopkins this week in the situation that they're in. But I think Hopkins probably has a safer floor just because a little more projectable volume. So no, I don't think it's crazy because like it's what I talked about, right? Like in terms of how we should be looking at these, especially now in the playoffs. Because it's the thing that sucks the most about the fantasy playoffs is that you can have the best team in the league and you can get knocked out by the worst team in the league this week or whatever the worst team that's left. It happens a lot. And so like this is that type of situation where if you're projected to it's not looking very good for you this week and you need some ceiling, I would consider going Darius Slayton over Hopkins because Hopkins just does not project very well in this matchup. It does sound crazy, obviously, because it's DeAndre Hopkins versus Darius Slayton, but Darius Slayton could very easily rip off a 50-yard touchdown, and I don't know if I could feel the same way about DeAndre Hopkins with the quarterback option that he has.
Yeah, I don't think you're crazy to consider it, Mike. I personally wouldn't be able to tell you to do that. But if you want to do it on your own, I don't think it's crazy. I would still say Hopkins, but it's definitely not crazy. Joe needs our help. Stuck on this one. ETN, Najee, or Mike Williams to flex half PPR, and then there is a bonus. 10 point for 100 yards rushing or receiving. I'm going to go Mike Will on this one.
Leagues like that would be so frustrating because like last week, like Nick Chubb had 99 yards rushing. And like, could you imagine if you lost off that? Like you had 99 rushing yards and you lose off 1 yard.
Yeah.
That 10-point bonus would have bumped you. But anyways, neither here nor there. I think I would go Najee. Like I think Mike Williams it would be second for me in terms of like
would be second for me.
But I just think Najee's just in a really good spot this week against the Raiders. Kind of talked about it at home. So I think I would go Najee.
Need an RB2 here for Perry, ETN, Mostert, Walker, or Algier. It's going to be Ken Walker for both of us.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the other word that you were searching for. Kev, sophisticated.
Very high T. I usually,
Sophisticated. Is Kareem Hunt start worthy this week?
Only if Nick Chubb were to be out.
Correct. Knight or Connor?
Connor.
Enemy 13-2, Jacob, Saquon Diggs, AJ Brown, Dolchich, Sun God, Mayer, Eagles, benches Lat, Jeff, Gabe, Chris, and Adam. Any changes?
No,
Not
I don't.
for
No,
me.
you don't have anybody that I would start over anybody you have played now.
So why are we picking Lenny over Rashad?
I think it's very close for the both of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like last week we actually saw a little bit different. We saw Liddy actually handle 57% of the snaps. We started to see a little bit of a flip. I think it's very close between the two of them. I just don't think they really need to throw the ball that much in this game. Like I don't, or at least that you're not gonna be seeing Brady drop back and throw 50 times in this. I think it's much more likely you see a little bit more run. And so Lenny last week, like I said, he did play 57% of the snaps in that game last week.
Just
I think it's
39
close
for Rashad White.
Yeah. So I think it's close. But in what is a pretty I don't want to say it's a must win because of how bad their division is, but a win they definitely need against the Cardinals. That I think it just makes a little more sense just to go with Lenny over White. It's close, like I said. Both of them are kind of back end RB2s, high end RB3s, I think.
Yeah. I think Lenny's just a little more bankable. I think White could outscore him, but I think the Bucks are going to have to get up like quick and early, and then like they just kind of like sit Lenny and let White kind of like take over the rest of the game. I think that's the path to Rashad White. Brady or Cousins? I'm going Cousins on that one.
Yeah.
Alexander needs some flex help here. Cooper, Kirk, DJ, or Evan Ingram?
I'm going to go Christian Kirk.
Going Christian Kirk as well. NFL left Wall on IR. Surprisingly finished double digits. Started Patty F, which I didn't play. Steelers versus Raiders. Going Waller. Patty Fry is starting to see his snaps drop, which is curious, to say the least. He's been around like 50 to 60% of the snaps like the past 3 weeks, I believe, which is very odd. So I'm going Waller. Oh, man. 10-point bonus is fun last week going against Jacobs. If that game goes into overtime and he hits 100, I lose.
Yeah, I think that's what, like, on both sides of it, how that could go.
Oh, yeah. Fields or Cousins? I'm going to go Cousins on this one.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Browns or Titans?
I think I would go Titans. There's just not a lot of upside to playing the Browns because if the weather's going to be as bad as they are, neither team's going to throw the ball. So there's really going to be not much opportunity to score outside of a scoop and score fumble or something like that. And anyway, is Lamar playing this week? He's continues to miss practice. He has not practiced yet this week. You think if you're Lamar at this point, I know it probably sounds crazy and he probably wouldn't do it, that he doesn't come back at all this year because he's in a contract? Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of one of those things. Like, I mean, I doubt it's going to happen. Just pure like speculation on my part, but like what motivation do you have to come back? Like, he's not under contract. So if he were to get like if he goes out, let's say he comes back and let's say he tears his ACL, what does that do for him? Like
Yeah.
at this point, like you're at the end of the season. But the problem is the Ravens are 9-5, so they're definitely heading towards the playoffs and stuff like that. And so like, do you really abandon your team? It's probably something he would never do. But I think if their record was a little bit different, you might see something different. But I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about. But I definitely wouldn't come back till I was 100% healthy if I was him.
Yeah. If Lamar does play, would you play him over Fields?
Yeah, I would against Atlanta.
Yeah. Titans, Eagles, or Bengals? Still think I'm going to go Tennessee there.
I think I'd go Bengals. As bad as Mac Jones looks.
I don't mind it. They're all really close for me. I just lean Tennessee. Mentioned Freiermuth and less snaps is worth a gamble on Njoku in bad weather, hoping for some short passes and run after the catch.
And if I had to play one of them this week, I probably would play Freiermuth just because their game sets up a little bit better. I think. Yeah, because I mean, it's just cold. I mean, 10 to 15 mile an hour winds isn't really that big of a deal. So I think I'd probably go for Patty Fry now.
Left side, looks like you are going to be the last question here. Oh, God. I think it has to be Lance, right?
Well, Jimmy's a free agent, I believe. And so they would have to, I believe he's free. Yeah, he's a free agent after this year. So I think the most likely scenario of what's going to happen is we are going to see Tom Brady come to the 49ers. Right? And like, I know that seems wild, but I think he wants to play. I don't think he goes out. Like, if this doesn't turn out well and they limp into the playoffs and they barely make it, like, I think he wants to play one more year. Not far-fetched. What about, I'm guessing you're trying to say the Raiders. Why? If you could choose between playing the 49ers with George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, their excellent offensive line, an elite defense that literally is just missing that quarterback piece to going to the Super Bowl, or going to the Raiders, who are you going to choose? Like, it's the 49ers, and it's all day, and it's not even close, right? He's also from the area, so there's some of that there as well, tied in. I know he has some, ties obviously there and everything else. And so, like, if he was like, I think that's really what we're probably going to see. If not, if that's what we're talking about, you're probably looking at Trey Lance. You don't bench Trey Lance if Trey Lance is able to come back in this scenario. And if you're talking about Brock Purdy or Trey Lance, I think it would probably be Trey Lance, and I think Jimmy would leave. But you're right. It is tough. But I will say in this, everything else. But at the end of the day, teams have to get better about moving on from failed experiments. And we really haven't seen enough from Trey Lance to say that he's a failed experiment. But there's not a lot that's been great either, because clearly they kept Jimmy G for a reason. They could have easily have shipped him out, traded him to somebody else. They didn't. And I think that has had something to do with how they felt about Trey Lance as a player. And so I think that's a little bit tough with him. And so that's just where I mean, that's where I stand on it.
I think the Jimmy thing just came down to the fact that they weren't getting the price they wanted, right? Like the fact that, like, Jimmy basically said goodbye. He was on, like, that field by himself without any coaches or players around him, like, warming up in the, training camp, like, throwing to, like, assistant coaches and shit. Like, I think that had more to do with it than, like, them wanting to like keep him around just as an insurance policy.
Yeah, and it could be. It's just like if you're a team and you're like in this championship window and you have the ability to get Tom Brady, which one are you going to choose? Are you going to choose Tom Brady or are you going to choose Trey Lance? You're going to choose Tom Brady all day.
Yeah, I agree on the draft capital thing with you left side. But like Kev just said, if because they still don't really know if they have in Lance, right? Like they don't know if they can get him to.
And I'm sure maybe you spin it somehow of, we just couldn't pass upon this opportunity with Trey Lance, 1-year deal, or with Tom Brady. I mean, Trey Lance can learn from Tom Brady and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. It's just tough, right? Like I get it, but I also just don't think that we should be holding on to quarterbacks. Now with Trey Lance, we just legitimately do not know. He's not like a Zach Wilson or a Josh Rosen or something like that, right? Because I thought that's why the Cardinals were so smart, because it was clear that Josh Rosen wasn't that guy. We can't say that about Trey Lance because we just don't know.
Yeah. Gator, how do we feel like AJ Dillon, Marquise Goodwin will both do this week?
So,
I like Goodwin better than AJ Dillon.
I like Goodwin better than Dillon as well. This is not a very good matchup. Dolphins have done a very good job against the run this year. The Dolphins have. They've been very good against the run. And so it's not as good of a matchup for A.J. Dillon. Likely going to have to throw the ball a lot more. And so Goodwin steps into the wide receiver 2 role. He's already been kind of relevant whenever Lockett was playing. Now he's not. So once you have Goodwin here, he's locked as a wide receiver 2. They have nobody else really to throw the ball to outside of the running backs and the tight end with Noah Fant. So I think Goodwin's in a pretty good spot.
Higgins, Evans, Chubb, or DJ Moore here for trouble.
Ooh, this is tough. I'll go Chubb and Higgins, though.
I agree. Virus OG, Zay Boyd.
Go Zay.
I'm going to go Zay as well, as much as it hurts my soul.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So they're going to stack the box, right? Weather's not going to be allowed for the passing game. Yeah, but it's Nick Chubb. He's the best running back in the league. Teams, I mean, just because you stack the box doesn't mean you're not going to be able to run the ball, right? Like, both sides are going to try to do the same thing, but you could do a lot of different things here to make this work. But it's Nick Chubb. I mean, Nick Chubb could go out here and rush for 200 yards in this matchup. Like I said, the Saints have not been as good, especially as of recently against the run. Like I said, we just saw Tyler Algier rip off 130 yards against them. And a team that you knew that they weren't going to throw the ball, right? Like you knew also the Falcons weren't going to run the ball. What's the only thing they do? They run the ball. They do not throw the ball. They weren't going to let Desmond Ridder go out and throw the ball 40 times in that game either. And so I think it's not really that big of a deal. I know we sometimes overvalue like team stacking a box and how that's going to play out, or like you'll see people. Oh, is he going to get shadowed, or they're just going to bracket cover to take him away, and like a lot of those things just don't happen nearly as much as people think they do. Because if you just stack the box and Nick Chubb gets through, he's house calling it, and so like you're not just going to stack the box every single time and stuff like that. So it's not as big of a concern to me.
So. I will say that I think last year Chubb was like top 5, maybe even top 3 in terms of average defenders in the box, and this year he is 8th, and he has also faced the 9th highest stacked front carry rate as well. So like it's not like it's going to be like anything new for Nick Chubb.
And Joe, yes, I think that's fine. Because I would agree, Najee isn't like somebody that's going to go out and just crush it for you. But yeah, I think I would play it by ear. By then, you're going to have a good idea of where you stand. If that's what you need, I think it's smart to pivot, kind of like a late swap and DraftKings. So moving off, kind of seeing where you stand and kind of seeing what you're going to need there. So, because I don't think that not playing Najee Harris is going to like somehow come back and kill you if you didn't play him. I just think he's a little bit safer of a play. So, yes, I think Ramondre plays this week, 808. So that being said, I appreciate everybody checking it out. Again, we will be back here again Friday night. We'll be back here in a couple days. By then, we'll have all the practice reports. We'll be in. We'll know pretty much kind of what's going to happen. We are going to go live again Friday night because we want to, obviously, with Christmas Eve being on Saturday and everybody having stuff going on, we wanted to, get the game day show in this week. So we're going to do it Friday night. We can talk about it a little bit more, maybe open it up, have a little bit more discussion about some other stuff. I do enjoy just kind of talking about more of like a, zoom out perspective on certain things. So we will hit up Virus's question, start 3, Pollard, Jacobs, Jones, White. And I guess that's Williams. It's Pollard, Jacobs.
White for me.
Yes, and White for me as well. So, but anyways, again, we'll fucking bots. Oh, they got it. Somebody got it. Good. We got the bots out of here. Thank you. So, anyways, I hope everybody has a good couple of days. We'll be back again on Friday night, like I said, to answer all your guys' questions. Hopefully, chill. Bring an adult beverage. Let's hang out. Knowing that's gonna have to work the next day. It's gonna be Christmas Eve the next day after that. Got a full day of football the next day. Talk about some football. Talk about fantasy football. Make some last minute tweaks. We'll have all the answers. We'll have all the answers, like I said, to practice reports. Who's actually playing? Who's in? Who's out for the most part, outside of some game time decisions. So we'll enjoy the rest of your week. Get that Christmas shopping in, fellas. All right. Quit waiting till the last minute. I'm just as guilty. We all wait till the last minute to go get those Christmas shopping for the significant others. Make sure we get that taken care of, get that locked in so we can enjoy football all day on Saturday. Pro tip. So, anyways, we will see you guys again very soon. We'll also have the DFS DJ Nation pod if you're in the DFS streets. We will be back again live tomorrow night to break down the Week 16 main slate as well. So, keep it locked in here. We will see you guys here very soon. I will see you tomorrow night. Cody will see you Friday night with me as well. So, enjoy it. We'll talk to you soon. Merry Christmas. Have a good night.